All right, back in the Prestige 520S that we were doing some engine checks on from the last video, our preventative maintenance engine checks. During that process, I didn't get a video to start, so I'm going to go back and show you now. We were doing the monthly impeller checks. That's another thing that we check. Impellers are the fan blades that help bring the water through the engines themselves. If those go bad, they break apart. Little pieces of rubber go into the rest of the engines. Not good for the whole systems and in general. So by checking these preventatively, if we notice they're starting to flake or starting to chip or become weak, we can go ahead and change something in advance before there's a problem, before your generator fails and ruins your trip. So anyways, I'll show you what we're looking at and break it all down for you. So we've got the Cummins Onan generator. We've removed the sound dampening plate, exposed the engine here. We've got this flat piece of area here with bolts that we've now removed, and now we're able to access the actual impeller itself, and we pop it right off like this. So once we remove the impeller, we're able to inspect it and see, oh, this doesn't look right. So we've got a replacement impeller right here, which shows all the fan blades that are necessary. We're obviously identifying missing fan blades, which have then spun and have been sent into the hoses, which are the water return towards the engine itself. So the water is leaving the impeller area and going into what they call the heat exchanger, where we'll need to remove this hose clamp and inspect that there are no missing pieces. By removing the bolt and the flat panel that's at the base of the heat exchanger, we will be able to open up and look at exactly what might be clogged in between the heat exchanger and the flow of the engine. Now you'll notice here that we see a lot of rubber pieces stuck up against the area that the water is flowing through the heat exchanger. This is a prime example of the issues that we want to stop, because this will be restricting the water flow through the heat exchanger into the engine itself. So it's a big deal here. Glad we caught it. Now we have to go through and literally take out every single little piece of rubber that we can see here. And in order to get out this final piece, we had to really kind of put our finger in there and wiggle out the last little bit just to make sure we got all rubber pieces out of the heat exchanger. So this is the perfect way to show that we've gotten every piece, or at least every large piece, maybe a few little particles slipped through the cracks, but we've been able to piece out every little piece of rubber that we could get, which accounts for all the fan blades. So if for some reason we only had this many fan blades, then we're a little more concerned about where did these guys go and where are they in the engine if they've passed the heat exchanger. We will be replacing with this nice fresh new one. Nice, obviously brand new, no cracks, stress cracks or anything like that. We'll replace the old O-ring that's kind of, old, dirty, flattened out with a nice new one that comes in the package, and then we'll be on our way. So as we start putting everything back together, we need to make sure we get the gaskets and the O-rings in proper place. So this gasket is properly formed for this heat exchanger opening. Make sure we put that in there. And then we have the O-rings that there's a channel that needs to set in so the O-ring is properly making the seal. It's not so easy to get in at first, kind of got to wiggle it into place. In order to kind of get it to stick into place, we actually use a little bit of soapy water, a little bit of Dawn dish soap and some water. This gives it a little bit of extra stick to when you need to get it into these positions. So we use that, get it kind of really stuck into place so it holds, otherwise you're going to have to keep fussing with it as it's going in. Then same for the impeller itself. The impeller is actually bigger than the hole that it fits in. We need to bend the fan blades in order to squeeze into this place. So when we lube it up with some of the Dawn dish soap, we're able to squeeze the fins and get it into the proper seating. Something to make sure you notice is this little notch outside of the base of the impeller is also going to match the notch that's in the base of the male end of the impeller post there. So we're going to have to make sure we put them together that actually fit, so this notch will fit right onto the notch that's in on the male post, and at that point the impeller is properly seated. However, we typically need to put it into the metal container, the flat piece there on the right, before sticking the impeller onto the male post. So it takes a little bit of maneuvering, but that's the best way to do it. Once we've got the impeller fit into this molding, you'll notice that the blades look all bent and literally kind of out of shape. They will figure themselves out as the fans are spinning and the water is flying through there. So don't get freaked out by that. As long as it fits into the casing that it's in right now, and then fits on top of the the male post with the proper notch seated. So at this point, that's what the going to take a couple minutes to maybe twist it around, make sure that the properly seating onto the male post. And once you finally get that in, you'll be able to notice that it's fully seated, fully against the other side, so it's right there. And now you're able to add the bolts. So once we've got everything put back together, all tightened, all screwed in, and ready to rock, we will open up the seacock. We will let the water then become accessible to the engine. We will go and fire up the engine, and let's test her all out and see how she does. So priming, and now the engine will fire. We see the green light on, so the engine is on. So now we are checking, okay, do we see any leaks there? Nope, no water leaking. It would be pretty evident if there was a loose bolt or anything. No water leaking down here where the hose clamps and the other area is. We see the water obviously flowing through the sea strainer, which means it's coming through the seacock. Everything looks good. We are happy with all of that. Engine's running fine, which means that the impeller is doing its job, and looks like we have done a successful changing of the impeller.